but like that pill made me crazy for 2 months.
I remember weight gain. I remember my skin flaring up. I remember mood swings. The thing with pull-out method is, will I ask him to get a vasectomy? Do you track your cervical mucus? If we were in the same room, we were having sex more than once every day of your fertile window is like gold dust.
I developed an effective side effect-free contraceptive option. Thank you.
'Cause tonight is the night when to become one. No, I'm not one of those Melanies. Before we even get into this video, I want to say 3 important things. Number 1, this is my experience, my story, sprinkled with a bit of information. That's mostly what we do around here. Secondly, I am not the anti-hormonal contraception person you might be searching for. As you can see from the title, I've been off it for 8 years, but I was on it for 8 years too. By 16, my acne was getting real bad. It was wrecking my head. Most of the time I just wouldn't let people take pictures, or I'd have like a cabbage leaf on it trying to heal it. But I also had really severe cramps and PMS symptoms, you know, all that stuff. So my GP put me on the pill. Sure, I started having sex around that time anyway, but hormonal contraception, it isn't just used as contraception, and I primarily started it for other reasons. Not even understanding how it worked, to be honest. I didn't understand that it suppressed your ovulation, that it was man-made hormones.
And it's just because I went on a new contraceptive pill. Some of them can be quite beneficial for your skin if you have skin problems.
I am just all for women being informed and making informed choices to have control of their fertility. Third thing, now I only say third if I'm online. I'm Irish, I usually say third. Third thing, can we just repeat this together? Going hormonal contraception free does not mean you are anti-feminism or anti-women having freedom, or that, you know, if we all did that, we'd all have to be financially dependent on men again. While having sex without taking any hormones, I was able to save up a house deposit myself. I was able to hold off on having babies until I was ready for them. Hormonal contraception has long been synonymous with women's liberation and sexual freedom, but true freedom is access to and an awareness of options. Knowledge is power, and knowing that there is no such thing as completely safe sex, only safer sex. That's, for example, what led me to always focus on the typical use percentages of effectiveness when choosing birth control options over perfect use, because, you know, we're all imperfect humans and human error is a thing. That knowledge is also what led me to deciding to combine 3 non-hormonal contraceptive options to completely avoid pregnancy, to make it most likely that I wouldn't get pregnant when I didn't want to. My personal 3 chosen options, which we're going to talk about in this video, were the only FDA cleared birth control app, which is Natural Cycles. Not the same as just like natural planning or fertility awareness because of the algorithm. Condoms, I personally really don't like them, but latex free I'm all right with. And then pull out method. So before I was trying for babies, that was my delicious contraception sandwich. I have shared videos about my own personal experiences on the contraceptive pill.
I came on and off loads of different pills because I am very receptive to the side effects of contraceptive pills.
You vomited in the pill, yeah.
I vomited and I got pregnant. I had a miscarriage after 3 months.
My personal relationship with the pill was chaotic and dramatic. Think of a very toxic relationship with a person. Noah and Ali in The Notebook when they were young, not when they were cute old people. And because I have an amazing community of women here with me online, and I have had for 10 years, I know I'm not alone in that experience, in my experiences on hormones. So I know I'm not the only one interested in avoiding being that version of themselves while still having sex and not always being worried about getting pregnant. So that's why I'm making this Q&A. So grab a snack, grab a blankie. I put out a question box on Instagram. So someone asked me, okay, did you ever consider the copper coil, the diaphragm, or spermicide? Right, I did try spermicide and I was getting like reoccurring infections, vaginal infections, nasty, a lot of irritation, and I didn't get on with that at all. The diaphragm, I think Sex and the City just really put me off it, to be honest, so I just never tried it. That scene just, because I've never been good with putting anything in there that's not like a penis or fingers, anything that's artificial. Now the copper coil, like it sounds genius from what I've heard. It actually prevents the sperm reaching the egg in the first place. For me, personally, bit invasive. I just didn't want to stick something in my body. Even just the thought of like strings hanging down and like, no, no. But if you have that and it works well for you, I feel so much joy for you, because that must take a big weight off, not having to think about it for a very long time. Essentially, for advice on coming off the pill, they've been on the pill for a huge chunk of their life, and plainly my advice is to mentally prepare for an adjustment phase. And the thing is, this is so individual for everybody. I remember weight gain, I remember my skin flaring up, I remember mood swings. What kept me going through this was just how committed I was to the decision to say goodbye to hormonal contraception because of the bumpy ride that I had been on. I was just ready to feel my body doing its thing. I wanted to know myself without those hormones. Did your acne come back at all when you came off the pill? And if so, how did you manage it? Yes, it did. The pill that suited me the most actually gave me acne, but lifestyle changes are how I counteracted that. But then the process of withdrawing from those hormones just made everything flare up again. So I kind of went back to my lifestyle habits, avoiding dairy being key for me at the time, because there are androgens in dairy and like powdered ultra processed milk products, and they can affect your skin.
I want it.
So yeah, I was just keeping the dairy low, and I was trying my best to work on the sleep and the exercise and the stress. And then skincare, I focused mostly on products with salicylic acid to just treat the actual acne that was there. And then, lots of moisture for my skin to just heal and look nice. And then the lifestyle stuff to prevent more coming and to help balance the hormones. But that shit is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Like the spots were coming thick and fast for quite a while. I love that this came up, right? So do you believe in the whole hormonal contraception impacts who you fancy thing? So what they're talking about is, there's been research to show that this is mental, if you've never heard this, but levels of estrogen predict how much testosterone you prefer in a partner. Apparently, estrogen loves testosterone. And very interesting if you're bisexual, because if you're on the pill, you may be attracted to less masculine men. And when I was on the pill, I mostly was attracted to women. I got out of a long-term relationship and I was mostly having sex with women around that time. And then I was like, I'm on the pill for no reason now, because, there's no sperm. And I'm putting myself through all these negative effects for no reason. But then if I'd start dating a man, I'd want to go back on it, and the flip-flopping, like, my body did not like that. Right, how different did you feel using non-hormonal contraceptives? The best way I can describe it is like the difference between my two births. So with my son, his head came out of the birth canal when I'd had a spinal tap, because the hospital staff said that they needed to intervene. And then I wasn't in touch with my body at all when his head was being born, like I was during the very long labour. I really didn't like that being taken away from me, that connection to my own body. I know other people kind of have that same feeling. Other people are the total opposite, and they're just like, I don't want to feel any of that stuff. So we're all so different, that's why we all need to accept that there should be lots of different contraception options. There's not going to be 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 even that suit all of us. And so when I had my daughter, I felt everything. And sure, at the time, I probably would have loved a little off button, but it made me feel empowered. It made me feel safe. I just like to know if I'm moody, I want to know why, like really why, and not that it's coming from something that I'm taking to not get pregnant. You know, that's just how I feel about it. So the non-hormonal contraception options give me more of a sense of control and just peace in my life. Next question, right? Did you ever have any pregnancy scares using natural cycles? And so no, I didn't. What year are we in? 2024. I started using natural cycles in 2017, I want to say. And about a year later, I travelled over to Stockholm to interview the creator of the app. Today is the day I am interviewing a Nobel Prize winner.
When I developed an effective side effect-free contraceptive option,
to really learn more about the app's certified and regulated algorithm, because the Natural Cycles app is certified in Europe, FDA cleared in the US. And I think when a lot of people hear that it is an app, they just tune out mentally. But this app changed my life, not just in terms of preventing pregnancy, in terms of planning my pregnancies and getting pregnant twice immediately when I started trying. The way it works is it analyzes your hormone-driven temperature changes, so it can learn the pattern of your unique cycle and then determine your fertility status. So green, a green day, you're not fertile, you're good to go. And when I say good to go, you know, this is an app for over 18s. It does not protect against STIs. It is definitely best suited, in my opinion, to long-term committed monogamous couples. So on a green day, you can just have at it as nature intended. I am a big believer in stacking your methods to be as safe as possible, because as I said earlier, there's no contraception that is 100% effective. There's not one single one other than abstinence. Adding natural cycles to pulling out and or condoms, you're covering more bases. Anyway, a red day means you definitely should abstain or use some other form of protection. My choice on these days was to abstain completely, though we had our fun. You just have to get creative during the old fertile window. It's only a few days, 6 days, for various reasons, which I will discuss throughout the video. The app may give you more red days as a precaution initially, or depending on certain factors. So it might be more than 6 for you, but I was very on top of it when I was preventing pregnancy. Natural Cycles is 93% effective with typical use and 98% effective with perfect use. She's come prepared. There are a few ways that you can measure your temperature with Natural Cycles. So there's the thermometer, which you can get for free with an annual membership, and then you just take that in the mornings when you wake up and input the information. You can use a wearable, so an Apple Watch. I have one, but I don't think it's one of the compatible Apple Watches. They're on the screen here. Or you can use I don't know if you say Oura or Aura ring. You might have seen these. I literally did not know that these existed, but it looks amazing. I'm very interested in getting one of these. My honest experience with Natural Cycles is that it worked beautifully in preventing pregnancy. And bear in mind, I was using this to prevent pregnancy during my honeymoon phase of my relationship with my now husband. If we were in the same room, we were having sex more than once every day. So there was a lot of potential babies there that were never conceived. Sometimes I think about them and wonder what would I've called them. Elliot is a nice name. But just to bang on about it a bit more, if you really don't want to get pregnant and you're not taking hormonal contraception, I just think just do as my mother-in-law always told us to do and wear 2 raincoats. Now, she was making a joke about using 2 condoms, but to really boost that percentage of protection, I suppose, use more than one option. Someone asked, does it cost money? And if so, how much? So yeah, it's not free. The annual membership with a free thermometer is €89.99 in euros, and you can get 15% off with my link, which is in the description box. But because this is an app and it has very sensitive data, your data is being protected with Natural Cycles, and they'll never sell it, but I think they give you an option to like offer it up for further research on women's health. I personally don't mind. I'm just like, I always accept cookies. Maybe that will come back to bite me, but yeah, they keep your data safe, and that algorithm is worth paying for. And it's, yeah, I think it's quite affordable as well. This question came up so much. Do you track your cervical mucus as well, or is it just with your BBT? Basal body temperature. I'll be honest, I've never tracked my cervical mucus, though Natural Cycles does have a place where you can input information about that. I don't use that, so I've no experience with that. I know that the tracking of cervical mucus doesn't affect how the algorithm works, but the reason for that, I checked on their website, is that, I'll read it off to you. So, the analysis of cervical mucus is subjective and could lead to user error. The consistency and appearance of cervical mucus can be easily affected by lifestyle, such as medications, breastfeeding, lube, feminine hygiene products, right? So yeah, I've never just paid that much attention to my knickers. Like, I've just never noticed it being different at certain times of my cycle. But if you want to track that, it's another good indicator, and you might as well, if you fancy having a goo at your goo. I was just always really committed to inputting my information every morning in the app, and that worked for me. So many questions on combining other non-hormonal methods. Like someone said, do you use other non-hormonal methods with it, or just Natural Cycles? So I mentioned, condoms and pull-out method. The thing with pull-out method is, so it's got a relatively low effectiveness percentage, and this is because you are putting a lot of trust in your partner. Like, it is recognized as a legit form of contraception, but there's the issue of the existence of sperm in pre-cum, in the pre-ejaculate fluid. So yeah, I'd never just go with that alone. Then with condoms, like, they can split, they can half come off, which has happened to me so many times. I've had so many accidents with condoms. Or if you drink a lot, like, I don't drink anymore, but I remember nights where you'd put it on upside down, or like you just totally forget. Like, I just wouldn't rely on either of them alone. If I had it doubled up, maybe I wouldn't have gotten pregnant when I was 19 while I was on the pill. Didn't use a condom, and I vomited, and it affected the effectiveness of my pill. Does Natural Cycles work if you have endo? Couldn't find that info, as I have irregular periods. So yeah, it works if you have endometriosis. It works if you have irregular periods, as long as you're not on any kind of hormonal treatment. These things just may simply affect how many red days you are given. But like, my periods had become quite irregular when I was about 29, and I used Natural Cycles to pinpoint my ovulation for both my babies, and that was with irregular cycles as well. Right, so I missed that. Someone literally asked about that, like irregular periods and planning pregnancy with Natural Cycles. But one thing I forgot to say was, you're actually able to use ovulation tests as well with Natural Cycles. LH tests, some people call them. They detect like a hormone in your urine up to a couple of days before you ovulate. So if you're trying to get pregnant, the great thing about Natural Cycles, even if you're like big on your ovulation tests, is that Natural Cycles will notify you of the best time to take one of those tests. So then you're being given more time to plan your sexy times, which I know a lot of us have to do with this like busy modern world and like clashing work schedules and stuff. That is a big deal when you're planning for a baby and you're trying to get pregnant, because you only have like one window per month. That's like 12 windows per year, and they fly by. A lot of people can be trying for a year or two, and if you've waited until you were more established in your career or you had a house or whatever it is, to start trying for a baby, every month feels suddenly very valuable. Every day of your fertile window is like gold dust. So there's a few questions here that kind of have the same answer, and it's really important as well. How does natural cycles account for sickness? What if your wake up time varies a lot? What about if you've a lot of broken sleep while you're breastfeeding? In the Natural Cycles app, there's an option to exclude a temperature. So you can read your temperature, but then tell the app to exclude it. And this is because some things do impact your basal body temperature, and that can impact Natural Cycles' ability to track your cycles. So if you want to really help their algorithm to pinpoint your ovulation, you will exclude your temperature if you feel hungover, you slept differently, so a couple hours more or less than usual, or you feel sick. So if it was me, if I was like a shift worker, I don't think I would use Natural Cycles. If I was immunocompromised and was always really sick, I wouldn't use Natural Cycles. If I was an alcoholic, like drinking every day, I wouldn't use Natural Cycles. I used to binge drink like very, very heavily, but not like every day. It was weekends or whatever, and I'd always exclude my readings when I would be hungover, always. And then there's the issue with medication. I would talk to your doctor, but there's certain medications that can play around with your temperature. So chat to your doctor. And then in terms of like the breastfeed mama thing, a wearable, like I mentioned, the Apple Watch or the Oura Ring, they are great options if you have an irregular sleep schedule or you're breastfeeding, especially through the night, because your temperature data then gets measured overnight while you sleep, and then you don't have to remember to take your temperature before you get out of bed in the morning. I'm 12 months now into breastfeeding my second child, still have no period. When I had my son, it took 18 months for my period to come back. 18 blissful months of no periods. And then when my period did come back, I started using Natural Cycles again immediately. And that was because by that point I was still breastfeeding at night, but I'm a big fan of co-sleeping, and my son would like latch on once or twice during the night, but it's like with my daughter now, like that doesn't wake me. It's like me adjusting my position with my pillow. I barely register it. Only you can know if your sleep is like out of the norm for you. That's like a personal kind of call. When my period comes back, I will be using Natural Cycles again. I don't want to get pregnant in 2024. I'm not saying I definitely don't want a third, because I'm starting to lean toward I think that I do. Not for like a few years. I think I want a bigger age gap. The main thing that came up in this Q&A was to do with my husband. Will I ask him to get a vasectomy? Would I expect him to get a vasectomy? Do we plan on him getting the snip? Right, so a few things here. My uncle, he has 5 children. They were done after 4. He got the snip, and then his wife got pregnant again. And, I think there was a lot of like whisperings, how could that happen? But like it can grow back. And it's so funny because that child is like his double, like the dad's double. And it's just, those are strong genes, man. It was like, he must be born. I'm so aware that it's not 100%. Saying the same point that I've said multiple times in this video, no contraception is 100%, even that, but I don't know, like he has said he would be open to it if we were sure, but we don't know if we'll ever be sure that we're fully done, because we just love having babies so much and we love being parents, and that whole, like, I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable with that. And also I just feel like it's a big ask. It's a big invasive ask. Like, there was a question about, women taking on 100% of the burden with birth control. And I do have a lot of thoughts and feelings on that. But then at the end of the day, it's because we're the one who'd have to carry that child. Like, the person who impregnates us can always feck off. Like, it is ultimately so on our shoulders who we do and don't sleep with, and how careful or not careful we are, because we're the ones who are going to have to carry that and make a call on having the child or not, and, you know, figure it all out. Like, that is an unfortunate reality when you're born female. And it does annoy me that there's not better options for men, though. And you hear all this stuff like that there was research and men just couldn't handle the side effects like we could, like, you know, because we're superior or whatever. Like, I don't think that's true at all. Like, I think it's just more a case that, you know, we've almost just accepted that we have to put up with shit. Like, and for years I was suffering so bad from side effects and not realizing what my options actually were. And you know, I woke up one day and I was like, I don't have to take this to have this freedom. I don't. I'm gonna figure it out, like how to never take hormones again. And so I think it would be a big ask for me to turn around and be like, you have to get the snip. Because if he asked me to do something equally as invasive, even like if he asked me to get the coil or something, I'd be like, it's my body, like, fuck off. But yeah, it's reversible. It's just quite invasive. And I'm sure things can go wrong and stuff. There's always risks with procedures like that. The last one I'm going to answer is, do you think less women should use hormonal contraception? I don't have any opinion on what other people use or what anyone else should do. I am just really passionate about education. My Bachelor of Science honours degree is in education. It's like my passion. The only thing I think is that all women deserve to know what their options are and should take this into their own hands. There are brilliant resources which I've shared before, like mycontraception.ie and stuff. There's so many websites that show you the pros and cons of different options, and there's so many doctors who make content on TikTok and YouTube and Reels. I do think more women need to take initiative in learning about all this stuff, because at the end of the day, like, your doctor isn't going to have time to spend, you know, 2 hours going through a load of stuff with you when there's like really sick people out in the waiting room. Know that you do have options and you don't have to suffer in silence from negative side effects of hormonal products. I wish you the best on your non-hormonal contraception journey. Please comment below where you're at, what you're using, how it affects you, what you're interested in, what your fears are. Hopefully, if you have any questions about natural cycles, the video partner, I can reply to them in the comments. Yeah, I've teamed up with them many's the time over the years, because when I spoke with the designer of the app, she just is just so amazing. Like, you know, being a Nobel Prize winner, like being in the room with a Nobel Prize winner, I was just like, oh. I hope you enjoyed this. Give it a like. Buy my books. I've written 2 novels. My first novel centres around a character with PCOS, which may be of interest to some of you watching. I'm gonna leave. I never know how to end videos, so cold coffee. Delicious.